Good rising, everybody. A philosophical thought for the morning as I walk to the train station. For you, not for me, I've been thinking about this for a long time. Getting tattooed in a way that allows you to grow into the marking, opposed to getting tattooed in a way where you will inevitably grow out of the marking. You'll outgrow it, so it no longer fits you. You know, this thought's built on the bones, basically, of nearly every conversation I have with anyone I tattoo, and multiple videos I've put up. I already put one up on the paradox of tattooing, you know, having a fixed form and then the meaning being fluid, pointing to and talking to the point of, you know, the number one reason that people regret tattoos is that the meaning changes. That's over 60% of people. I've also talked about, you know, the connection between tattoos and death, because this idea of us growing and changing is also connected to death. Change and death, they're both guaranteed. Changelessness is death. And so if we're always changing and we're always growing, how do we get tattooed in a way that allows us room to grow, that allows us to come into contact with the version of ourselves we need to be, wearing that marking? Morning, mate. Wearing that marking, or, you know, getting to the point that we have this tattoo that is whole and complete, and it fits and it makes sense. Yesterday was the second day of tattooing a friend of mine. You might have seen the post. I just put up a photo of the back of his shorts. So it's only a small section of his tattoo, and it's something we've been working on for going on 8 years now. And the amount of change and growth that he's gone through in that time, you know, nothing extraordinary. It's just what you'd expect to go through over 8 years of living. If you couple that with intentional action, you know, intentional living, the growth can be quite profound. You don't live the same day for 8 years. Anyway, the reason I'm putting the thought out is because a high number of people do get tattooed in a way where they outgrow their tattoos. Whether they want to accept that or not. You know, so some people have an acute awareness that they've outgrown their tattoos. That's when they end up with tattoo regret, or they want to change things, or they might not use language as strong as regret, but they're in this process where the tattoo doesn't feel quite right and they want to change things. And you can have conversations with these people and you can put their mind to rest quite easily a lot of the time just by going, well, you know, that's what a tattoo is, you've got to accept it, you know, don't be so vain, XYZ. But if we just get our little scraper out and we just, you know, gently start to remove some of the loose material at the surface there, we start to reveal the roots of a far more complex sort of decision tree and process that they've been part of. And, you know, these decisions can be like quite weedy. They can be things that aren't valuable, that don't, on the initial observation, don't seem to be something that add any value or contribute to the person's growth. But that's not true. Everything that's there, everything that we decide to do and decide to get tattooed can be harvested and become highly valuable in our process of growing and changing, especially if we, you know, take stock and pay attention and really utilize it and start to cultivate a relationship with our tattoos and continue getting tattooed in a way that we are sort of having this forward projection that's built on congruent foundations. So instead of just like randomly throwing seeds out into the soil and hoping that something grows that's going to stick and that you like and you're happy with how it all turns out, you can actually get tattooed in a way that is really well mapped out and considered. And you'll end up wearing something that's, one, beautiful, which is what most people are concerned with, how something looks. You know, beauty, I use the word beauty because it's a more enduring term for balance and symmetry and harmony of parts. But a lot of people are going for beauty, even if they say they want the thing that looks cool or rad or wicked. Really, people are speaking to this concept of beauty, beautification, adornment. And so you can end up with something beautiful, but for that thing that's beautiful to make sense and accurately represent you, and for you to feel solid and stable and sure about yourself and what it is, to be able to walk in that beauty, then it also needs to be dignified. There goes my train. It also needs to be dignified. So at the Tattoo Pathway, the framework that we use, the method we use, that destination that you're journeying towards is dignified beauty. It's not just beauty, it's beauty that makes sense and has a reason. You have a reason to end up in that place. Kind of like Dave. We were both like pretty teary and blown away seeing him get to that elevated point, that precipice in his tattoo process. So proud of him. And so everyone can do that. And I'm constantly working with people towards that. And so that's the thought I want to plant this morning, is like whether your path, whether your trajectory is moving you towards dignified beauty, or if you're just chasing a superficial beauty or a shallowly sown beauty, something that isn't going to endure or stand some bad weather or a harsh environment, or a bloody bushfire. Whatever comes through and sort of challenges what it is that you're building when it comes to your story and your identity and the life that you're living. Because a tattoo that's done well, in a good way, that has that sort of foundation that's congruent and supportive, like we're building at Tattoo Pathway, a framework, a vessel that supports you in that movement. If you have that, then a tattoo becomes one of the most valuable tools on your journey of personal growth, on that journey of discovering who you are. A way to sort of consciously navigate the inescapable process of change as we move towards the inevitable process of death.